running sweat right through our land, driven by a man with the bullwhip in his hand, and I've taken just as much as I can stand, Oh, we got to free our brothers from the shackles if we can. Most nights I have to watch my woman cry, oh, she cries. Every day I watch the Colonel smile, oh, smiles, yeah, he smiles. His painted ladies riding in from town, Oh, I swear one day I'm gonna burn her house down to the ground. Slave, oh slave, fight the violence, we must be brave. Hold on strong to the love God gave. Slave, oh slave, fight the violence, we must be brave. Hold on strong to the love God gave. Slave. Hey, welcome to the Beantown podcast, February 10th, 2018. This is Quinn, David Furness. This is what my voice sounds like. What's going on? How are you? Welcome to the show. Again, so many people saying, hey, Quinn, we love the podcast. It's raw, it's edgy. Why not give us some of that sweet, sweet voice for some great intro music? Hang on, I got some hair on the microphone here. Gross. Where did that come from? Anyways, what's been happening? Oh boy, this week has been crazy. Work was wild. A lot going on in politics, a lot going on in sports. So we got some stuff to talk about. Starting off with some bad news, actually, believe it or not, we have lost a subscriber to the podcast. Our very own mother, Jane Dennison Furness, has decided no more. She's not listening to the podcast after we were talking about some dating tips last week. She wasn't a fan of that. So apparently my own mother has never been on a date before. But yeah, mom's off the podcast, so that's a bummer. But we're gonna plod on anyways. You know, we lost about half of our subscribers after that. We're down from 2 to 1. But I shall persist. Wasn't that that was a big like a Hillary Clinton thing or something? She persisted. Hashtag a couple years back. TBT to when Hillary Clinton was relevant. Let's take this with our listener discretion is advised. Listeners tag. First, we're going to use some adult language throughout the podcast. And second, it's just an objectively terrible 30 minutes coming up here. So you have been warned. Oh, geez, what are we going to talk about today? The Super Bowl we should start off with. The Super Bowl was last Sunday, February 4th. Eagles defeating the New England Patriots, payback from whatever year it was, 2005 maybe, 2004. Geez, I don't know what the final score was. A lot to a little bit less, but man, there was no defense in that game. It was entertaining as hell, but what were there? 2 punts, I think, and I don't know. I like high scoring games as much as anyone else, but damn, there was, I don't know, maybe 2 blitzes the whole game. There was 1 turnover right at the end there when Brady fumbled it, which was nuts. I was watching it while texting my brother, and it was just, Brady gets the ball. There was 2 minutes left, something like that. They were down by, I don't know, 4 points, something like that. And it's like, this is textbook. Brady's going to go down the field. They had, 2 timeouts, I think. And he's just going to score a touchdown with like 5 seconds left, and that's going to be the end of the game. And that's how the Super Bowl is going to be won for the Patriots. And then he gets a strip sack, which was awesome. And then the Eagles, of course, couldn't put it away. They had to kick a field goal. 5 points, I think, is what they were up by, and then 8 after the field goal. And then, the Hail Mary did not work. So your Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champs. I can live with it. My boss is an Eagles fan, so we're in a good mood in the office now. So that's okay with me. What else is going on in the Olympics? I was talking to my brother about this the other day, and here's what we were saying. Can you imagine how much money John Williams is making just off of people using his music right now? You got every freaking Star Wars trailer that comes out, whether, like Han Solo, if they're, it's not composed by John Williams, that's fine. But when you show a trailer, anytime they like show the Solo logo at the end, they're playing the Star Wars theme. Okay, there's John Williams. It was just listening to some music on my phone, YouTube app, while I was making breakfast this morning, and Jurassic Park, the new movie, again, not composed by John Williams, but using not all, but a lot of his music that he composed for the original film in the 90s. The Olympics, all of those songs are John Williams, so he's making bank off of those as well. The man is composing like maybe one film every other year, maybe a little bit more than that, because he just did The Post and he did Star Wars. But man, good for that guy. His themes are going to live on for a very long time, I would anticipate. But the Olympics started Thursday night. There was some figure skating going on, and I think some mixed race curling was happening. A lot of caramel skinned folks doing that one. I wasn't really watching. They aired the opening ceremonies last night. I also did not watch that. I was at a couple bars the whole night and kind of watching it as it was happening. But I don't know. I think the opening ceremonies are cool, and I appreciate the spectacle. But I don't know. To me, kind of feels like fireworks on the 4th of July, right? It's really cool the first couple of times you see it in your lifetime. And then after that, unless you were like actually there in person, if you're just watching it on TV, it's kind of like, seen it once, seen it all. I kind of feel that way about Justin Timberlake's halftime show this year too. Maybe I'm just becoming an old grouchy hermit, but yeah, it's just not quite as spectacular or fascinating to me these days. So it's cool. The thing that I'm most bummed out about in the Winter Olympics this year is the hockey, because NHL players, as you probably know, were barred from participating. So it's a whole bunch of people that I've never heard of, and I'm by no means a diehard NHL fan or hockey fan in general, so that just adds to it. So I don't know if the U.S. manages to keep up with other teams, then I might start watching once it gets later. But yeah, not that interested right now. And I don't know. My favorite event is probably the skeleton. That's super cool. I do like speed skating a lot because it's one of the very few events in the Olympics, in the Winter Olympics, where you actually are competing against one another, racing against each other in real time. That's something that the Summer Olympics has a lot more of, which I appreciate. But yeah, we'll watch a couple events here and there, but I don't know. Winter Olympics aren't that interesting to me, so we will check it out as it goes. But that's the Olympics. Something else that I wanted to talk about is my hair, quite honestly, because it's out of control. I don't know if I've ever had it this long in my life, really, I don't know what's going on with it. If you're friends with me on Snapchat, you see it. It's kind of crazy. It's a little edgy. I don't know if I'm going for like a Kurt Russell type of look, long, flowing, if it's just going to turn into a hockey mullet and I just start to look like the kids from Home Improvement in the 90s, or what the strategy is going to be here. But yeah, I don't know. Every once in a while, I kind of feel that temptation to just hop in the shower and shave it all off, because that's what I often do when I cut my hair. But I don't know. I've been working on it so long. I've been doing some trims here and there, and like I shave the back of my neck to keep that from going nuts. But it's probably been half a year or anything since I last did a full shave. So we've come so far. We're going to see how far we can go. So if you have any advice, concerns, what to do with the hair, please send me a note to beantownpodcast@yahoo.com. That's Beantown, BEANTOWN podcast@yahoo.com. Love to hear your comments and concerns. The Oscars are coming up, let's see, 3 weeks, I think, from tomorrow. You know, it's hilarious. Last week, I reviewed Lady Bird, and right after I finished recording, I realized I had reviewed Lady Bird the first week of the podcast as well. So you got 2 reviews. And you just have to go back and compare them, see what I liked, see what I didn't like. We are not going to review Lady Bird again this week. Not going to make it a 3 for 3, but I would love to talk about 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, I think is the state, which I honestly, it's been about 2 months since I saw, and that was one I only got to see once, but it's probably the front runner for Best Picture right now. It won the Golden Globe for Best Picture in its category. So yeah, if you haven't seen 3 Billboards, it is Frances McDormand and Sam Rockwell. It's got a lot of people in the cast, actually. Frances McDormand, Sam Rockwell, Woody Harrelson are kind of the big 3. They're all up for acting awards, but then it also has Lucas Hedges and Caleb Landry Jones and, oh man, what's the name of the guy who plays her ex-husband? I'm going to look that up because he's John Hawkes. Is that what it is? He's a really underrated actor as well. I think it is John Hawkes. Let's see. Yep. They are fantastic. The acting is by far, Peter Dinklage is in there as well, believe it or not. Acting is by far the best part of this film. There's a reason that 3 of the actors and actresses from the movie are nominated in major acting categories. Sam Rockwell versus Willem Dafoe in the Best Supporting Actor category is going to be a fascinating race, because I think they were both just top of their game. It's going to come down to those 2, and I've kind of heard that Sam Rockwell is the front runner, but I've also heard a lot of people just say how great Willem Dafoe was, and he was in The Florida Project. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But the acting is great. I really liked the writing and the tone of the film. I had one. It's my biggest issue with the film was the writing, the direction they took, the actual story in the 3rd act, which is kind of a nitpicky thing to actually critique a story, but that was my one issue with it. I did not like the way that they ended it with Frances McDormand and Sam Rockwell. But beyond that, I thought it was fantastic. Woody Harrelson gives a performance kind of like Mahershala Ali last year in Moonlight, in that he doesn't have really much for screen time, but he still makes a huge impact on the overall arc of the film. So if you get the chance to Redbox it, I don't think it's in any theaters these days anymore, but when you get the chance, absolutely. Reminds you a lot of a Coen Brothers film, if you're a fan of that type of style. So I give 3 Billboards 3.5 out of 4 stars. Again, my only nitpicky thing is actually in the storyline, but everything else is wonderful. Very well done. So that's 3 Billboards. Check it out when you get the chance. Oh, geez. What else are we talking about here? Oh, this is an important thing to mention. So, been streaming the podcast live on YouTube from here at 817 St. Paul Street. right outside of downtown Beantown. I am exploring because I've been hearing your comments, been getting a lot of fan mail. Beantown podcast at yahoo.com. That's Beantown, Beantown podcast at yahoo.com, saying, hey, we love the podcast. Let's explore more ways for us to listen to it. I hear you. I say, yeah, I feel that. I'm mostly on YouTube myself, but I know people who listen to their podcasts exclusively through things like SoundCloud or iTunes is especially a big one. So we are exploring those options. What I'm looking at right now is like a premium, platinum, gold plus, double the cashback membership from SoundCloud. And if you do that, you can upload with an RSS feed to iTunes, and that way you can access it easily and without having to worry about data and stuff, because you can just download it onto your phone. So we're looking at that. Here's the thing, though, and this is a big announcement for this podcast. We got to raise the money to do it, because I'm not exactly Scrooge McDuck over here swimming in gold shekels. So I'm happy to announce that next week, live on the podcast, we are going to be hosting a pledge drive. That's right. Just like they do on PBS or the Jerry Lewis Labor Day telethon, we're going to be doing it. We're going to be posting about it on social media. We'll have the phone number up there. You can call in. You can pledge your donation. It's going to be fantastic. Again, all funds, all proceeds are going towards getting this podcast up on SoundCloud and up on iTunes, in addition to what we've already been doing on YouTube. So, boom, there's your big announcement for the week. It's happening next week. It's a pledge drive for the Beantown podcast. It's going to be wonderful. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. We're raising money. It's for a good cause. For every $100 raised by you, all the fans, I'm donating a dollar back to the charity of my choice, which is the Quinn Fund. So it's going to be huge. Look out for details this week on social media. You know where to find it. Or if you just have any questions, you can email the podcast. That's happening. We mentioned last week that we were going to be doing our taxes live on the air. Yes, that is happening. Yes, I'm releasing my tax returns. We got 1098Ts. We got 1099Qs. We got a whole lot of W-2s, and we even got some cash under the table that, hey, I might just report just because I'm an honest citizen. So all of that's happening. Next week, we're doing the pledge drive. In 2 weeks, we're going to be doing the taxes live on the air, Saturday, February 24th. It's happening. The week after that is going to be our Oscars show. We do all our predictions. So, yeah, big things are happening on the podcast. We might even have some special guests. I don't know. Still trying to arrange that stuff. But there is a lot happening for the Beantown podcast. It's all very exciting things. We're raising money. We are going to be getting our tax returns back. We are going to be accurately predicting, I might add, some Oscar wins. So, big things happening for the podcast. Really excited to make these announcements. That is really what the core of what I wanted to get through here. Did get a fantastic advice question that we absolutely need to go through. I'm very excited about this because it's bringing me back to one of my greatest passions with it, which is mathematics. So we have an advice question. One of my dear friends studying for the GRE, and we're just going to read the question, and we're going to work through it live on the air right now on this podcast. We're solving GRE problems. Bring it on. Here we go. I have not, and this is honest to God, have not looked at this problem that was sent to me. I know the category, it's standard deviation, but I don't know the problem. So let's read it. Here we go. Bear with me. If list A consists of the numbers 1, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and 5. Holy, how many threes is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1 and then 6 threes and then 5. That's list A. And list B consists of 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 6 threes again, and 4. So list B is 2. 6 threes and 1 4. How much greater is the standard deviation of list A than that of list B? Oh, geez. Fuck if I know. Let's see. Hang on. No. I can do this. Okay. So standard deviation, you have to find... Oh, how does that work? We got this. Okay. You're going to have to find the standard deviation of each list first. And the question is asking how much greater is the standard deviation of list A than that of list B. So we need to subtract the standard deviation of list B from list A, and that's our final answer. Okay, so you have to find the standard deviation of each list first. So we're going to do that separately. So again, list A this is the most goddamn exciting podcast of all time. 1 and then 6 threes and a 5. So you first have to find the average of that. So it's 1 plus 6 times 3, which is 18, 19, and 5. So 24 divided by, there's 8 terms there. So 24 divided by 3, that's the mean of the first list. And then what you have to do is you take each value and subtract the mean from that value and square it for each one of those values in the list. And then you add it together. Is that right? You add them together, divide by n or n minus 1. Hang on. Go into Google. We're using a cheat. I'm still going to try to do this in my head, but I want to make sure I have the formula right. I think it's n minus 1 for standard deviation. Standard deviation formula. Is it n or n minus 1? We're still going to do it all in my head. I don't have any scratch paper here. It is... n Okay, it's n minus 1 for standard deviation sample, I think. Well, this page has an n and it has an n minus 1. So what's the difference? God damn it. We're going to get 2 very different answers if we do n or n minus 1. I'm as frustrated as you are listening to this podcast, trust me. Okay, the important change is n minus 1 instead of n. It's called Bessel's correction. What does that mean? I'm dying here. You know what? We're just going to do it one way, and we're going to divide by n and trust that that's right. So here we go. 24 divided by 8 is 3. That's the mean. So 1 minus 3 is negative 2 squared, which is 4. And that's going to be a whole lot of plus zeros because 3 minus 3 squared is going to be 0. So 4 and then plus 5 minus 3 squared, which is also 4. So that's 8 divided by 8 is 1. And then you take the square root of that, which is 1. So list A is 1. Now we have to find list B. So it's going to be 2 plus 18 is 20 plus 4. That is mind fart. That's 24 divided by 8 again. Now we're on to list B. That's 3. Average there is 3 as well. 2 minus 3 squared is 1 plus a whole lot of zeros plus 4 minus 3 squared is 1. So it's 1 plus 1, 2 is 2. Hang on, are we doing this right? And then you divide that by 8, which is... I lost my train of thought. This would be way better if I had scratch paper. your best bet when it comes to GRE math is to just guess, I guess, if you don't know. Basically, we solved the problem. We didn't get the answer, but in a more kind of broad sense, we solved it. So, you know how to do it. I mean, you memorize the formula, which is something like standard deviation is the square root of the numerator is the x term, whichever one, minus the mean, that is squared. You have to do that for each one, and then divide the whole thing. You add it all together, divide it by n, the number of terms. Get that number, you take the square root of it. That's how you find it. You have to do it for both those lists. Speaking of lists, what's your favorite list piece? That's what I want to know. I have been listening to a lot of the Hungarian Rhapsody. Those are always good. I also like the Bohemian Rhapsody, a lesser known list piece later covered by Queen. Mama just killed a man, put a gun against his head, pulled my trigger, now he's dead. Mama, life had just begun, but now I've gone and thrown it all away. Mama, ooh. If you were just tuning into the podcast right now, you'd probably assume that I was about 5 beers deep. But no, it is 2:00 in the afternoon right now. I've not drank at all today. So I apologize. This podcast has gone way off the rails. We didn't get the math question right. We were talking about my hair for 2 minutes, which was just invigorating. We sang some John Williams. We sang some Elton John. We sang some Liszt as covered by Queen. Oh boy, we have gone wild. I think there is something of a letdown knowing that next week we got the pledge drive. The week after that, we're doing the taxes live on the air. After that, it's our Oscars show. There's not as much happening right now. But hey, Daytona 500, a week from tomorrow. Jimmy Johnson, Mr. How many does he have? Seven championship wins right now, looking for number 8. He's going to be out there driving. He's kind of the last of the old guys left because Dale Earnhardt Jr. is retired. Jeff Gordon's long gone. Tony Stewart's long gone. Kenseth is gone. Carl Edwards is gone. So Mark Martin is gone. There's really not much left for kind of that crop of racers who came up around 2000. So, that's Daytona 500 happening next week on Fox. There was a really good story that I was going to tell about something related to something, and I don't remember what it was, so that's a plus. But I will tell the story, and this is the last thing I'll talk about, the story of the time, I think my junior year of high school, maybe my senior year, but I think my junior year, when I was really excited to watch the Daytona 500. So always on a Sunday afternoon, like 2 p.m., something like that. So I go to my friend's house. The big NASCAR fans lived about 45 minutes south of me. I drive down there, and we're sitting on the couch waiting for it to start. Inclement weather occurs in Daytona Beach, and they keep delaying the start time. They keep pushing it back. Eventually, it's like 5 p.m. They say, nope, we can't do it. So they push the start time to like 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning, and I've got school, So I go home. I ask my mom. I can't believe she said yes to this. Can I skip school to stay home and watch the Daytona 500? And Mom said yes. Mom, if you were still listening to the podcast, if you hadn't unsubscribed, I love you. I should probably tell you that in person or over the phone, but I'm telling you on the podcast. So now I'm excited because I get to watch the Daytona 500, skipping school. So I sit down and I'm watching it, and there's still inclement weather. They postponed the race till like 8 p.m. that night on a Monday night. Well, I had my banquet for our swim team, like end of the year type thing that night, and I'm not going to skip that because it's a free dinner, and free dinner is tough to come by. So I go to the banquet and I'm missing the Daytona 500. I'm bummed, But there's more inclement weather, and it gets delayed even more, like after they started the race. So I rush home from my swim banquet. Literally, the second I get home, there is a crash, red flag. And that's when Juan Pablo Montoya's car hit the dryer truck. You can watch it on YouTube. It's nuts. It goes up in a huge fireball. And so that's like another 2-hour delay because you got a flaming ball of metal on the racetrack. And it was so late at that point. It was probably midnight or 1 a.m. And I was just sitting there on the couch trying to watch it, trying to stay awake. And I couldn't. I fell asleep. And they finished the race after I fell asleep. They started it back up and finished it after I fell asleep. So over the course of 3 days, Sunday until early in the morning on Tuesday, they competed. They ran the Daytona 500, and I think I saw half a lap total. It was really depressing. On top of that, I think Matt Kenseth won. Jimmy got knocked out in the early stages. So, yeah, that was bad. We're hoping for bigger things this year. Jimmy Johnson's my guy, number 48 from El Cajon, California, right outside San Diego. But, yeah, we're going to see how he runs, and we're going to be expecting some big things. That is what I wanted to talk about on today's podcast. And, yeah, if you have any advice, questions, if you have any grievances that you want to air, if you just hate the podcast and you want to tell me about it, please just email me, beantownpodcast@yahoo.com. That's Beantown, BEANTOWN podcast@yahoo.com. All right. Hope you have a good week. Yep.